Nothing yet? All right. We're on. That was a little bit of a delay.
Real big delay.
Yeah, 20 seconds in. Hello and welcome back to Drawing Blood. I think this is episode 23 or 4. We have a little bit of a screw up. We missed 19 somewhere. So, for those of you new to Drawing Blood, thank you for showing up. And Drawing Blood is it echoing?
No. Cody, we're trying one mic today, but we moved it.
Yes,
we moved it to a different spot.
We got one mic today.
So
if you can't hear Bob, we'll have to have him get a little closer. Drawing Blood is an inside look at our game #Blood, which is a hand-drawn, top-down action adventure, very much in the spirit of Zelda and 90s cartoon nostalgia. So last week we did some talking animation. What did we do last week? What was talking animation, actually? That's what I started with this week.
No, who did you do last week? There was something for Too Many Games, right? Was it Kids, the Classroom?
Oh,
Classroom
was it the
Kids?
Classroom?
Maybe
We did
not.
something. But we got some more talking animation done. We got Miss Vernon and Mr. Owen. So I'm going to go in and show you what we did this week. This is just one of the talkies. Oh, okay. Hey,
All right,
people.
Daniel's here.
All right. Yes. I know we're live when Daniel shows up. Thanks. This one is a surprise. You'd be sure. No, we were going to stream tomorrow, but Bob and I are heading off on Friday, so we wanted to spend some time with the family since we'll be gone for the weekend. And we're kind of caught up on every other project, so we're going to take a little time off tomorrow. So this is Mr. Owens, one of the math teachers. If you go up and talk to him in the game, you'll have this guy pop up as a, hey, is that Purbinder? Are you new, Purbinder? Purbinder? I suck at these
here
names.
We go.
So thanks for joining us. So if you go up and talk to Mr. Owens, you'll get a talkie animation, as we call it, and this kind of pops up over the text, and it's just a larger version of the character to show up. So I have them just chatting away here, kind of a simple cycle we got going in here. Here are the layers.
Snipes art. Casey Snipes art is here as well.
Oh, I'm here. Not new though. Oh, I remember. I remember Casey Snipes art. I'm new though. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for showing up. How did you hear about us? I'm always curious how we get new followers and stuff. So what I did here, just separate the body, eyes, mouth, and arm. So we got all that kind of animation. You can kind of see all the imperfections when you turn off all the layers and stuff. But here's one of them. And I also worked on Mrs. Vernon. This one got all the Twitch stuff on it. She's a little more stern and stuff, so I kind of had her move a little less. Yeah, but the same principles. I'll separate the arms when I need to. I'll separate the mouth when I need to. And everything always follows the same chart. So there's never a drawing that's on a different chart, so you don't get that kind of strobe effect that, some animators like. I kind of like everything looking like one drawing, though. So we got her. Him. But today I started working on some new kind of villains, since we're kind of building out new levels and all that kind of stuff. You've seen the football players, those who joined us in... This is a football player, man.
That might have been the character stuff you were working on.
That might have been what I was working on last week. I'm not exactly sure. So this is a classroom, and we also got emotional desktop. All right. So this is an example of what a hallway is going to look like, and we kind of have these football players. It's playing super slow because of the background. Let me turn that off. The background has so much texture and vectors in it that sometimes it slows down the project. So we got all these football players kind of wandering the halls now, and what's going to happen is there's a vampiric virus that kind of affects people and stuff. So you're going to run into some of these school kids that eventually are turning, and that's what we're going to animate is them turning into a vampire or kind of a tentacle creature that's sort of like the gestational period of before it turns full vampire. Hold on, I'm missing stuff. So, hello, everyone. Wednesday villains, what a treat. I had a feeling there would be more than vampires to fight. Well, yeah, we're going kind of full vampiric on this one, but we also, like, everything's a stage of a vampire. Plus, we got, like, bats and rats, much to the chagrin of some people.
Yeah.
Remember that? That guy was not pleased with us. And, you know, we'll have everything kind of in the vampire kind of zeitgeist and stuff. We're not going to... We won't do like Wolfman or any of those kind of things, but everything sort of gets infected. It's a little bit zombie, little bit vampire kind of feel. So right now we're going to do the tentacle kind of monsters for them. So those are the characters. What I did.
A little bit of the strain.
Little strain. Yeah, no, it's like some vampires are kind of smarter than the others. This one appears to be a little bit dumber, I would think. So what we're doing is setting up sprites for Cody and Andrew, our two programmers. Those who don't know them, that's Andrew Tavis and Cody Greenhalgh. They take the art Bob and I animate and do the backgrounds for, and somehow magically put it in a game, and then finally we can play it.
I'll watch it. How do we say that one? I'll mess that one up.
What is that? Melichetti, friend? Hello, I'm doing. I just wanted to say I love your art. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We're going kind of for a 90s kind of late 90s nostalgia. I think, what did Pan Pizza, what is his YouTube name? Rebel
Taxi.
Rebel Taxi kind of called it a Y2K.
Yeah, it's probably right around.
It's probably around there.
Everybody
I know there was a lot of
fear to Wayside, which it was like after our time, so I never knew what Oh Yeah or Wayside was, so we actually weren't trying to copy that, but it's a pleasant surprise.
It's a style that I mean I really love cartoony styles. I think a lot of animation nowadays is sort of missing the charm of the kind of cartoonier stuff. Everyone's a lot really focused on character design and proportions, and we threw all that by the wayside because we didn't, you know, we wanted to play with the cartooniness of these things. Rebel Taxi, we owe him a big shout out and a big thank you. He saw our game Blood a while ago. He asked us if he could feature Blood in his latest YouTube video.
Before it was the MomoCon. MomoCon.
Yes, he was there at MomoCon, which ironically we applied for and never got in, but it somehow found its way in, at least with his blessing. And no, he's seemed to like the style of the game and stuff, so we're really thankful for him. And anyone who's new now, and because of him, we owe him a thanks for that, and thanks for joining us there. So this kind of virus affects the school. We're not exactly sure how the virus is going to spread or any of that kind of stuff. You know, vampires bite people and all that stuff, but it's kind of running rampant in the school right now. So you're going to encounter these characters you see before the virus spreads, and then you're going to walk down certain alleys or hallways or maybe a football field, and you'll find these characters kind of start becoming affected. So you would run into something like this. So he's kind of like, you can tell something's wrong with him. That's sort of the icon, this red little kind of dashes we're doing is almost an icon to indicate there's danger. We have a lot of those kind of things going on. So he's going to run, you're going to run into this, realize something's wrong, and then we're going to work on animating and getting into this pose right here. So that's what we're working on now. Before I get there, I'm going to show you the idol. So he's slouched over. It's almost like an anglerfish, like this monster on the bottom is sort of controlling this kind of lure on top that we're going to have attacks for and all that stuff. And then we got the walk. So again, we're kind of slouching around. His head's kind of, you know, just really loose on him and stuff. So I'm really trying to indicate that his body's no longer his own, and it's kind of controlled by this creature. I don't know if we're gonna play with Becky's immune. We were thinking for a little bit that the kids would be immune, but then we thought it over and thought it'd be fun to see some of these characters turned into other things and stuff. So I mean, you know, she's not impervious to getting hurt or dying in the game.
Yeah,
so I don't know if we're.
not. Yeah.
If there's a part where it behooves us to infect her, I don't think we'll give it to her. I mean, she's a good fighter, which we kind of explained because she's good at field hockey and sports, that she would be good at kind of evading these kind of people. So we're not sure about her being immune for sure. So what I have here is he's going to kind of push his head down, and then the tentacles kind of pop out. Going to have to morph those. And then it's going to shoot up in the air. The tentacles are going to kind of shoot out from there, like his legs turn into kind of like starfish out. And then he'll land into what we call the idle pose. And I'm breaking this all up so Cody can kind of take them and organize them as sprites. So we'll need animation from the idle to the walk and stuff too, so everything's as smooth as we can. Which will be kind of a tinier sprite, like a 7-drawing sprite. So let's get to work. Reminds me of
Russell from the Gorillas. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no, I thought that too when I did this. I love what they did with that, where he just has the super round back and you don't really see where the neck's attached. Gorillas was a giant influence for me, and when I went to SVA at first, like the Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I remember
that blew my
bringing
mind.
that back, and I was still in high school.
Yeah, you were still in high school, and I brought that to our. Bob and I went to the same high school. I brought that in to kind of show like what was new in animation and what was exciting me, and seeing what the Gorillas did, and I guess that was, what was that, 2000? I mean, 2000. No, it was 2000, I think.
Yeah.
No, because I was still living in the dorms at the school. All right, so I'm just going to rough this out a little bit more. Just working on the keys right now before we get to the in-betweens. So it's a lot of secondary. Again, this football player is sort of like a puppet now, where his body's not his own. It's very loose. The tentacles are sort of taking over. And we just want to get him to the idle pose. So it goes down, kind of starts shuddering a little bit. And then we'll have to work on some keyframes of the tentacles opening up. And I was thinking of, if we had time, I was going to get to the attacks and stuff, because I have some fun ideas for the attacks for the tentacle monster here. Robert Valley. I mean, I love his stuff, obviously. It's weird. We tend to, we bring a lot of our style in from other projects. So we worked on a cartoon that's not out yet for another video game that had a lot of that kind of feel to it too. So I think whatever we kind of bring to the other projects, like the paid projects, get somehow transferred in my muscle memory maybe of animating. So there's always going to be part of that DNA in every project. And I think, it travels with you through your career. Nothing's that intentional unless the client is really asking for something super specific. We try to have our own kind of thumbprint on it, but again, this is a lot of homages going on in Blood. Like, it's almost an homage to, some would say, Zelda, because we're doing a top-down adventure. Some would say it's a love letter to Dexter's Lab, because there's characters that look like him. And it's just something that we have these influences, and we kind of, instead of fighting them, we kind of go all in on it and keep it just part of the fun of watching this game. I'm gonna do the shadows there. And I missed some other stuff. Oh, I mean Valley for Gorillas. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of the Gorilla stuff is in there with this character, too. With especially here, with the eyes are circles and the curvature of the back and stuff, too. Also, I noticed you guys actually have more quality options for your stream. What is...
No idea what that means.
I don't know what that means. Did we do something good?
Who knows?
Yeah, sex is cool. We ever been with someone? Oh gosh, I'm guessing me. Okay, we're all caught up. No, I don't know how we did that. Arrow will. Bob's. We had some audio troubles at 1:59, so we're kind of flummoxed now too. So he goes up here, then we're gonna kind of burst. He has 5 tentacles. You're gonna like a starfish. So his legs will kind of antic in and then burn. I'm thinking like burst out like this. And then we can like kind of like vampire mouth in there. Then behind it, the arms can start kind of going up.
Echo started again. It shouldn't. I don't know what.
Oh, are we echoing again?
We shouldn't be. We only have one mic logged in.
Even 144p. If you're affiliates, you can change it. I don't know if we're affiliates yet because we don't do it 7 times a month. We do it 4 or 5 depending on the week. We got offered that, but we never broke the 7 barrier. But we've hit every other.
I guess we could plug the other mic in quick.
Should we try that?
Let's see if that does it. What's going on? This mic sucks.
We just bought
This
the
mic
mic.
should be mine. This mic.
I do hear an echo. Super stoked by it. Let's
Just unplug the one and replug the other.
Okay, we're gonna replug a mic. We seem to have an issue every 20 times. Okay. Where is the other one?
Should
Is that what? Peekaboo.
put that in front of you. Are we getting anything there?
Is there echo back?
Can you hear us now, Cody?
There was a console question. We're not sure. Can you hear us?
Maybe hear us. Let's make sure. Better. All right.
Better. No echo. Okay. Well, Best Buy strikes again.
I might return that thing actually.
I might return. I might even pee on it. We're not sure when it comes out. I think ideally we would like it on the Switch, maybe PlayStation 4, maybe PlayStation 5 by the time we get our act together.
The new Xbox, right?
The new Xbox, or maybe any other console that comes out in the year 2035. No, we're trying hard. We're going to have a demo out, I think, relatively soon in game terms, but, we're kind of solely focused on getting the demo, the first kind of hour, maybe hour and 20 minutes, as solid as we can. We're adding all these characters. We're kind of adding all Becky's moves. We're adding all the secondary animation. There's an Easter egg we have in our demo now. There's all the characters have to talk and all that stuff. And once we get the foundation built, then we can kind of focus on level building and building out the world. But right now we sort of have the school bus a little bit outside the school, her neighborhood, and we still have a whole world to kind of build and think about. How about all consoles? Yeah, well, that'd be nice too. So that'll expand. I don't want to make this too long because, in the context of a game, you kind of want to get to the action, so I'm going to do my best not to make it 2 seconds. Though we do have a stunned Becky animation that she can freeze, I guess, if this happens, so let's try. So I'm going to focus on just making the timing right, then we can worry about all the boring in-betweens. So that'll pop out. Let me make that red line. So that mic, it was that mic the whole time. I bet if we get another mic though, we can set you up with another mic.
It's just that mic is not. Maybe when I think we might have bent the USB.
We did
cord
screw it up a little bit.
be-
Yeah. We'll try it. One day we'll have
one day our audio will be good.
maybe.
It's just that was an expensive mic to.
No,
I think
it's like
maybe it's in the closets, the safe closet still.
Yeah, we work above a diner, but it used to be a bank. So we got this giant. Let's see if I could get the camera.
What is it? A big safe.
That's used to be a safe. Or it is a safe. It used to hold money, but we're not about making money at this studio. Losing money, yo man, we're great at it. I'm gonna just rough this out a little more. I wasn't too happy with it, so this will kind of flutter, like almost pop open. This character sort of has a different cut, like underbelly too, so we're gonna have to keep in mind the perspective of everything. And this is sort of how we just come up with characters too. What's ever fun to draw. We don't have, like, I was thinking yesterday what would be fun to draw, and I said, well, maybe the football characters. So I'm going to separate this from the tentacles in the back so we can kind of keep those two independent. I'll just worry about that. Have you guys heard? Oh, it's Google's own game console. I haven't heard about it. I'm sure Cody has.
Yeah, we've heard of it.
What is it?
Greg was kind of talking to them a little bit when he went to, was he at PAX West or whatever?
Oh, was he?
No, he was at GDC. He was talking to them about it a little bit.
And what is it, sort of like a streaming kind of thing?
Basically, you're streaming the console. Like, you're kind of just subscribing to the console. You're still going to have to buy the games. I don't know how well it's going to do.
It'd be hard to make a new console, I think, with kind of... We're almost at a golden age of video games, I feel like, because we're big fans of, like, Angry Video Game Nerd and all those kind of retro, kind of wonky games, if you will. They don't make too many bad games now. I mean, there's games that people don't like, but, like, in terms of execution, like, any game that's kind of coming out, they spend enough research and development on that there's never going to be another real blunder in terms of making the game. Now, you know, certain games aren't my cup of tea, as I'm sure everyone has, but there's not a lot of that going on now, so we're kind of at that age now, technology-wise. Graphic-wise, I feel like we're there, though, because, I mean, graphics will continue to get better, but those of you old enough to remember what PlayStation 1 looked like, I remember it came out, I thought it was so cool. Now it's almost, God, it's kind of horrendous looking. Is everything okay?
Yeah. I can't figure out how to close my front door.
Oh.
Again.
And we're gonna be, the reason we're doing it Wednesday today, it's usually a Friday ordeal, is we're gonna be on the road, heading to Too Many Games. If you guys are lucky enough to be there with us, I would love for any of you to stop by, actually play the game. It's a nice chance to meet up with people who've played the game and seen us work and all that stuff. And it's nice for me and Bob because we kind of can take our foot off the gas. Cody and Andrew, though, they can always be programming stuff too. So
they can always fix something that goes wrong.
They fix something that goes wrong in the game. Yeah, Too Many Games. We're going to be there. We've done work with AVGN in the past and stuff. I'm hoping to finally... I've talked to them in person. Not in person. I've talked to them on the phone. But it would really be nice to kind of catch up in person. They're really down-to-earth guys. Same exact age as Bob and myself. So it was... it's always good to work with them. Plus, they have built up such an audience. It's really helped us.
I think they're going to be showing a lot of games.
Yeah, they're making... I think it was... Eagle Island looks incredible. But I think I read they have 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I think it's Screenwave is the company.
Did you do... Yes, we did do Aaron Plays intro as I'm not sure. I think she's in a relationship with Mike Matei, and he reached out and asked if we would do that for her, and we did. That was fun. Those 10-second little things, those are so much fun. You can get them done in a couple days. They're always super grateful when we help out. So it's always nice to use your skill to help out someone like them.
Aaron will ask him where. I don't know where we're going to be next for screening. Probably not for a while, or showing the demo.
It might be a while. I know we're invited back to MagFest, but that's in January or December.
Pretty much just a little bit further down, and we seem to just be in the Philly,
Yes.
Maryland areas for some reason.
I would like to show it as much as we can. I think we all do like to use MagFest as sort of a benchmark for us to get something done. It's a definitive date. We showed something last year. We want to show at least, another level this year. And it's a chance for the whole crew to get together too. The whole crew's gonna be there, with the exception of our writer Greg, at Too Many Games. So it's it's a nice kind of thing to always. We like those things where you have dates to kind of keep in mind and stuff. No, maybe you use this. Oh, hold on, I missed a lot of stuff.
We did Pixels. We mentioned that last weekend, right?
I can show you how to do pixels real quick. We do them in Flash MX, though I'm sure you can use Adobe Animate too. Let me show you. Let me open up a pixel project actually, and so slow it down. And the libraries are better. We'll do Voltron. So all this is done in pixel animation. Oh, this is when we were making a game for Voltron. Remember that, Bob?
Yeah.
So this was one of our sprite sheets where we were kind of doing another Zelda kind of thing. You can see a theme. But what you do is you set up a grid, which you go to File or View, Grid. This is Flash MX though. Again, I'm sure it's Animate. You go to Show Grid, which it'll show up like this. Then you go Snap to Grid, and you turn off all the snap objects, and believe it or not, snap to pixel. So then what you do is we use the square. We'll grab a color. Then out the line, real hairline. And you'll see here, like these just click right away to each other. In fact, it's hard to get off the pixel. So we'll kind of do it one square at a time, real old school like. Though there's cheats, like if you needed a horizontal or vertical. But anything diagonal, if you want a circle, you're going to have to really work for it. Stuff like that, and you just build it up kind of like this. Now, what's nice about Flash is you have a library system.
Subscriber?
Oh, we did? Very cool.
We say that.
And you could just. I'm not complaining. This pixel stuff is so crazy. No, it's.
They are like little movies. He was asking like if they're the sprites are movies in play. They're symbols.
They're symbols.
That.
So we got
swap from one to the other.
Now you see these are an actual size. So what I did, I'm sure the head's a symbol. I forgot what we did.
Oh, yeah.
So what I did is sort of just puppet the kind of stuff. And I'll never rotate, but I'll puppet stuff as long as it's vertical and horizontal. Because when you rotate pixels, then the edge is kind of off kilter and stuff. So I did that. And he was kind of easy to do because his arms are just kind of floating around, and he's pretty much a pill with a square head. And we did all the walk cycles like that. We did a swim cycle. We actually have a video of the game we made with him that's not complete at all. Do you want to put that up there, Bob? Our Voltron kind of test animation we did? Or test...
oh, the game that
the game we abandoned.
We had a game at some point.
No, Bob programmed it, but we had to keep in mind that we had Cody on Google Chat, and he was pretty much telling us what to type. So it wasn't exactly far be it from us to program, really. You guys ever do this when you go back to a file that you were working on from switching to another file, then you see a drawing you did and hate it? That's what I just did here. So I'm gonna continue, gonna fix this one. It's on a YouTube, I think.
No, I know.
It's like when you flip a drawing, you know how you flip a drawing and you're like, oh God, what the hell?
We had a couple of things we did. I forgot we were doing a side-scrolling.
We did a side-scrolling Voltron. We had a little bit of false hope because we'd made a video called Coin 6-7 years ago, and it got a lot of views on YouTube. And we just figured, oh well, that was easy. You make a video and you get a lot of views on YouTube. We didn't know much about anything really, and it was kind of based on a video game. So we were like, well, let's just make a game video now that looks exactly like a game. So we did that with Voltron, and we were just like, oh, once this comes out, people are going to want to make this a game, because that happened with Coin. People were interested in making it a game. Never came through, but. So we started making a game. Someone eventually bought the IP of Blood, but for Voltron, but for a web series. So we were in the middle of making the game, but then someone else owned the IP. So we had to stop it. There we go. That's a little better. It's a little better silhouette, I think.
We made
Double Dragon. Coin was awesome. Everyone waiting for it.
Well, we sold that IP to Disney, and we made a pilot for that, and it aired. I think it aired on, I don't know, some YouTube Polaris called something. I don't know. It did all right, but not as well as the video we initially made. And then Polaris got bought or something, so we kind of just got lost in the fray. Plus, it was really hard working with the Disney writers. It was, I think, some of the hardest projects over, just mentally. The drawing wasn't tough. It was kind of dealing with that side of things. We weren't very accustomed to how they do things in LA. So, yeah. But there's a little... Yeah, it's pretty sad because Coin was sort of our flagship for a while. And then for someone else to own it and it go nowhere was, upsetting. But it kind of led to us doing stuff for Blood, too, so I can't be completely pissed. Coin was... Yeah, no, that was a fun... I did that a long time ago. Again, when I see that now, I'm like, I could have done those characters a lot better. But people seem to like the energy of it. And it was more about that, I think, than the character per se. Alright. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, it's fun. People will comment on it every once in a while, like it still gets a little bit of attention. So I'll always kind of go back and watch it again. It definitely brings me back. There's a lot of nostalgia to it now. it kind of, weirdly enough, it was sort of inspired by when I was working for the show called Ugly Americans at a different studio. I was one of the animators. And there's a scene where we had to kind of spoof that fight scene from Old Boy where he's in the hallway and he has a hammer and he kind of breaks out finally and does this. It's a real long one shot of him just like completely tearing these guys up with a hammer. So we had to spoof that in Ugly Americans, and I was tasked with kind of boarding and laying out the characters and stuff. So everything was isometric, and then we just I coordinated this whole fight scene for that. And when I saw like how it was working, like I did it in a week. We had a week to do it, and how much I got done. I was like, I could just do this at home since I was kind of tasked with that anyway. And I just started kind of coming up with a giant fight, and I started boarding it, and finally it was fully boarded out, and then I started cleaning it up, and I thought I didn't mean it to be kind of a video game inspired, but it reminded me of a video game because it was isometric. And then I leaned in harder with the video game, so it was this weird kind of organic way to work. So we'll shoot out. We're going to overshoot and settle to this.
Lauren's just seeing Voltron now.
Oh, yeah?
That was a fun.
My coworker and I are just getting over Voltron right now.
Oh, that was a fun. I like that project. What's nice about Voltron is it feels like a little secret, that we have
we
because
got to do everything ourselves. Like we got
it was
to write
beautiful.
it, we got to do everything, and we're kind of just left alone for.
In episode 4, we go into a Game Boy. We played with every kind of. We tried to play with any kind of 16-bit genre, and it was just this fun little. See, it got a couple thousand views here and there, but it's just sort of our little nod to video games, and I kind of like how we wrote it and how it ended too. It felt very kind of poetic or something.
We got to kind of finish it out.
No, I feel like there was closure to it because I won't spoil anything if you want to watch all 4 episodes. And you can see that at Spindo TV. That's another company that went out of business. We had The Touch. That went out of business while we were working on it, pretty much. Like their YouTube division, anyway.
Yeah, not Spin Master.
Spin Master.
They're doing just fine.
They'll be gone. They'll be here longer than us, you're saying? Let's see, I'm trying to think if it opens up like that. That one will kind of overshoot that way. This one will stretch out. No, I was proud of Voltron. And again, it just felt like this kind of little secret we kind of have.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. It's a secret that I was screaming. I was screaming, "Everyone, watch it! Watch it!" Just no one listened. No, it was fun. It was all library based too, and by that I mean we built like a bunch of sprites and then kind of composited everything together in the Flash file. I could show you some of those files too. Those are kind of. That was a lot of Flash planning.
Yeah, we spent most of the time.
It was mostly built-in sprites.
Building the sprites.
And that was kind of twofold. We again thought it's if someone wants to build a video game, we just throw them some sprites and just cash a bunch of checks. That didn't happen. And the more we're kind of getting into this video game, where we realize sprites are only the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much that has to go into the coding and stuff that just completely baffles me. Sometimes it baffles Cody too. Not Andrew though. I'll open up Voltron file. Try to lay some of this out.
It's crazy. You give them sprites, and 6 months later you have some gameplay.
Cody was asking for sprites we completed several months ago, so that's.
You make sprites as symbols and move them around the backgrounds as animated symbols as the animation plays.
That's how we set up Voltron anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of do that in almost all of our animation too.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of kind of symbol-based stuff where, I mean, we try to give the illusion that we're doing everything as traditional as possible, and within the symbols they are usually. Like if we're doing like a talking head kind of animation, we'll embed all the animation within the head and within the lip sync and stuff. But everything's as hand drawn as it can be. We'll do like a walk cycle in place and then pan them up and down and all that stuff. So then we'll go out like that. And yeah, you kind of go from there. But I think like any animation, there's so much to be said about planning and doing it right. And what I like about kind of symbol-based animation is, you're staring at a blank flash screen or animate screen when you first start, and you're like, how are we ever going to finish this? And then you slowly build up a library. Then all of a sudden, by week 3, you're just reusing stuff and kind of building on stuff. And by week 12, you're finished, and it's like, wow, 12 weeks ago there was nothing. Now we have this giant kind of monument to this animated world that you can always kind of explore and do stuff with. So let's see, his legs are gonna, so we're gonna kind of have it open here. So we're gonna have to, no, I always appreciated Flash in that way. And I'm not sure how, I do feel it necessary to one day check out Toon Boom or any of the other animated animation kind of based stuff to see how they kind of set up. I'm so accustomed to Flash now.
Wild Bill Jones, do you all use the Swift plugin? We do. We use the what it was, the texture packer to.
To make
Future Man would know more on that, but he's using texture packer to go from Flash into Unity.
He was playing with Swifts though at one point, right? Like there was.
They were trying something with that because Unity was doing something with Swifts, right? But it wasn't working well.
All right, so let's see what we got. Something like that, I think, will work. Make that red to clean that up. No, after all these years, MX is still sort of our go-to when it's a passion project and we have to focus on draftsmanship. If you looked at occasionally see my desktop, I think we have Windows 7 on this, right, or something.
Yeah, we do.
I think because we're afraid of Windows 10 not being compatible with Flash MX, we haven't tried that yet. There's not a lot of support group for that.
I think it would be fine.
I think it would be too. It's just a risk. I'm not in love with Windows 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but I do. There is a certain reality we have to face that eventually we will be faded out of this industry if we don't kind of get with the times a little bit. But like a lot of our freelance is done in the newest animate, and we use the newest After Effects for anything that we have to kind of export.
Although I'm always hesitant to update that too.
Yeah,
because all the plugins, the plugins don't keep up as fast as the.
I'm just not in love with that kind of Adobe model of I don't like the idea of renting something that they can change overnight without anyone's kind of say. I don't know a lot of people who are happy with that.
Good to know. Working in the Cyanide and Happiness game at our studio. Oh, they're making a game? Awesome. We've had to do Weird from Toon Boom. Oh, so they're doing that in Toon Boom?
That seems like a show that's perfect for Flash.
Is that is that Lowbrow Studios that did the? I feel like that's the. I don't know if that's who's working on the game, but the Cyanide and Happiness thing. I think they're up in Connecticut, right?
They reached out to us once about something,
Yeah.
right? I think just as they were asking. I forget what they were asking. What is Cody saying? I didn't read that.
Oh, they were in discussions with Unity for a better support of Vector. Because
I feel like Vector would save on space.
well, especially because you would scale it, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't do a lot of Photoshop stuff. Backgrounds occasionally. Though Bob's has such a nice technique with Blood right now about getting paintbrush textures. Some people might be fooled that this is strictly made in a Flash, even the backgrounds. We'll probably have some lighting effects done in Unity and stuff, but all the kind of flat art you see is a paintbrush that Bob sort of makes. He makes like a textured paintbrush out of Vector, and he'll duplicate that and then add gradients to it and all the stuff. It really gives the illusion of a paintbrush.
Hi, Exit Serving Theory. I've been seeing a lot of your game footage on Twitter and enjoy it. I've been a traditional artist for a long time, and I wanted to start practicing digital art more. Is there any advice for people new to digital art that I could learn?
Well, if you're accustomed to just art in general, the digital medium shouldn't really scare you all that much, I don't think. I just look at it as this computer is another tool in my arsenal for making art. I think if you approach it in that regard, it'll go a little easier. Now, there's going to be some kind of growing pains when you open up any new program and have to draw. For example, drawing on a Wacom feels very much like a China marker on glass when I first opened it. But I do this about 10 to 12 hours a day, and now when I go home and draw with my kids on paper, I have a harder time doing that now. Yeah. Which I don't like that idea, to be honest, that I can't draw on paper. But there's so many tools at my disposal now. Like, for example, Control Z. Just using undo is a giant help with that. So I would just approach it as you would any art, just kind of learn the program in and out as best you can, and then just use it as a tool, the same you would use as like a pencil or a paintbrush. And yeah, that's why I'm curious about. I know people who love Toon Boom and hate Flash, and I don't hate really any program per se. I just look at it from a tool standpoint. And if there came a time where Toon Boom made more sense for our studio, I would invest our money into that. I'm not like a loyalist in terms of like there was like people who love Macs and hate PCs. It's, to me, I just want something working. I don't really, I would buy a Ford or a Chevy, or I just want the thing that's working right now. All right. I think Flash is a great kind of start, though, because it's very, even Adobe Animate, it's very kind of user-friendly, I feel like. There's a very...
Learn it very quickly.
You can learn it quick. It's pretty much F6, F7, and F8 if you're animating. Then there's a lot of extraneous stuff you get to learn from there. So let's go like that. Oh, anytime. So I'm going to just see what it looks like outside here. To kind of keep in mind the size of this. So this is Becky down here. Okay, that's not too big at all.
Flash shutting down. I mean, I don't know what flash. I would imagine.
I hear stuff like that all the time.
Well, or just the plug-in for the.
Yeah.
That's the long range.
There's the plugins that disappear and stuff, but yeah, there's workarounds with everything. It's not like you will turn on your computer and the program will be gone. There's probably export options that you'll have to learn how to kind of export it some other way. But if you make like a PNG sequence or just a JPEG, you know, there's not much they can do about that. And most times you convert stuff from Flash, it's not vector anymore anyway, so the plugin probably doesn't mean all that much. Might want to add tentacles to this, I'll see. But the program is staying. But yeah, every year you hear something is shutting down and something, and everyone gets kind of riled up about it. But there's, I don't know, like how many projects have we worked on where we don't export anything directly from Flash for the final anyway, so. Let's see here. So we're going to finish that. Then we're going to have to figure out how we're going to kind of turn the legs into this. Like I'm thinking the kind of the football pants might just like explode off instead of morphing. Like his arms are going to morph into this tentacle thing. And I have big plans for this creature. When you defeat him, I think, you know, then the character will be saved again. So it's the kid doesn't necessarily pass away. It's just the virus is gone. All right, let's color this so I can kind of wrap my mind around it. I'm going to color it all. Color all these. Make the tongue purple. I like to use a lot of the same colors. I like to limit the color palette actually a lot. It kind of makes you try something new. All right, color that. I think I'm going to color the inside of the mouth the same too. And he has these pink eyes. I'll try that with the teeth here. Yeah, that works. Another thing I like about MX is you'll notice not any save bars come up. It just saves right away. Yeah, that's fun. It could even work as a pop, but because I don't know what you call it, have OCD or ADD or whatever, I'm gonna torture myself and try to get it to that frame so it doesn't pop. Alright, so that's that. Let's get the rest of it colored. Yeah, I could completely recommend for these cartoonier things to do a limited color palette. it'll save you so much time, and you won't have to think as much as you would if you're worrying about color too much. There we go. Just like that. I'm gonna have to make that black, I think. Inside the mask is black. And the pants are pure white, so that's easy to remember. That kind of pops to that. So I'll add like spit and stuff coming out of that guy. And you'll just fall to that part. Alright, so let's get to this frame first before we focus on the rest of that. So he's going to really shoot up here. And I'll show you how I changed the color of the arms after we kind of in between this. And it has everything to do with last shape tween, actually. So let's see, the arms are going to shoot up first. The back's going to follow. So the arms are going to kind of lead. Okay, we're going to leave that. It's going to stay down here. The legs are going to start curling up over there. All right. We'll clean up that one. So the shoulder's bending here. And you'll notice some of these smear frames, I'm not really focused on too much detail. Mainly because it's going to be on for 1/24 of a second, so, you know, kind of pick your battles when you're doing this much animation. Big helmet here, this is the legs coming through. And I'll use a thick brush on these sprites because we shrink everything down to 25%. You can see, if you can look in this corner right here, we just kind of hovered over the 400%. That's at 400%. Now most of our animation will usually be viewed at 100%, which is still a pretty thick line, but these sprites, Cody shrinks them down 25%. So this is actually the line weight we're going for, which is relatively thin.
Like alerts. You don't
Oh,
even know
I
what that
really
is.
don't know what that
Me
is.
and Cody set up some alerts. We
What is
know
it?
When there's a new follower, there's an alert that pops up.
And what is it?
It's her Becky surprised.
Oh.
Animation.
Could be Chris surprise. I had no idea about that.
Oh God.
Technology and Chris. Yeah,
Never.
no, I never
Well,
quite
you don't
learned.
see it because.
Because yeah, well that's another problem with Flash MX. I can't see myself on the screen, so I might have not even been showing you guys the safe earlier. I could have the camera turned around the wrong way. There is a safe in here though, and no money in it though. So anyone thinking about trying to get a quick buck, is quicker.
If you want to animate to a sound clip, I
can show you
animate
that.
is perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think you'll get the audio from your computer now too.
Yeah, no, you like if you want to lip sync or something. We have, I mean, what can I show that has lip sync in it in our old files?
Or just I'm trying to think of a sound effect or something that we
I'm
have.
trying to think of an old project that we have lip sync or. Yeah, why don't you just look up our old files? Did we do the sound after the cat film?
I had to do all that, but we pretty much did everything afterwards. because
Yeah,
it
so that
was
wasn't
all-
new. Yeah, that was not lip synced.
I think the AVGN, did you do anything?
Oh yeah, no, that has all the audio. That's perfect, actually. Back to AVGN. This has some curses in it, so if any of you guys are offended by that stuff, I guess earmuffs.
Oh, I guess just kind of show them how you bring
Bring the audio in?
Maybe just, grab an audio from
Sure.
something. Let's see where we would have.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, I could do that in like Animate or in any.
I guess in MX and just show them how it's the same in Animate.
Yeah. Well, you see there's an audio string up here. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but...
Well, fuck. Let's move on to Zelda 2.
Okay, so what I'll do is, do we have any audio on my desktop?
There could be some.
So what you want to do, this is MX, but it's the same exact thing in Animate. You go to File, Import. I don't have any audio on my desktop.
Lauren said she can hear, so she can hear our desktop stuff. But that's good.
Oh, that is good. But what you want to do is make an MP4 or an MP3 rather. Bring it somewhere that you know, and you're going to hit File, Import, and then you'll be able to see it. It'll show up either in the library or on the timeline, and then you just extend it as far as you need it. And Animate actually does this better. You can edit it by splitting the keyframes in that too, by just right-clicking and hitting. I think it's just called Split Audio in Animate,
Yeah,
right?
it's split
Yeah,
audio.
which is super helpful actually. I will give credit when it's due, when that's Animate. But yeah, we'll always bring stuff in, especially if it's lip synced, and everything I think should be embedded in. Yeah, I got the audio here, so. You see, we brought the audio in every symbol here.
Well, fuck. Let's move on to Zelda 2.
And I think I even have it in the... Okay, so yeah, I split this up a lot.
Well, fuck. Let's move on to Zelda 2.
And did I do it like... Oh yeah, I even broke it into this one with the lip syncs in here. So this is an example of what I was talking about earlier, where there are significant cheats in this, or... I don't know.
Chili bot to 120. Yeah, that was the problem we were always running into with
Yes.
Animate. It had to be a certain.
Yeah,
That's
it has to be a certain kind of, what is it?
I don't know if
Kilobird or
is that chili bot?
chili bot.
Chilibot. I don't know.
Oh,
also, we can't
Chibibot.
export audio from Animate anymore.
No.
We like MX is nice. You can export your cut up audio from.
I can export this
as
as a wave and get it on my... You can import waves too.
because we
in,
were having
uh,
a problem. We exported a movie and the lip sync kept going off, and it was Animate was messing up.
No, I remember that. That was weird. Then how did we fix it?
We didn't. I don't know how we. I had to I had to try to match it in the audio program.
Oh,
We couldn't
Animate.
do it.
You amuse me.
How's it
I-
going? Clumsy Martians here.
Oh. Hey, how's it going, Clumsy Martian? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all you guys joining us. You know, every week this audience gets a little bigger, and I really do enjoy our times together here. It's a lot of fun. I feel like we have a really engaged audience, all, you know, uber fans of animation just in general. So it's, you know, Bob and I get tired of talking shop about just the projects we work on, so it's always refreshing to just talk industry and animation with, you know, our new audience and everyone involved here. And again, we really do have to thank Rebel Taxi for spreading the good word. So I'm going to shoot this part on ones just so you can kind of see it starting to morph, and I'll show you how I'll.
Yeah, Lauren said they had the same problem with Animate. So
Well, that's a real issue. And correct me if I'm wrong, a couple months ago, we could do that, right? Export
well, no,
audio?
I don't think we could ever. I don't know actually. That's a good
I don't know.
point.
I got an,
Because we always split the audio. That's where we do all of our animatics and cut everything up. So
Yeah.
you need that's where you finally get the timing of the audio.
yeah, we kind of treat Flash as a wholesale kind of animation studio. So we'll do everything as an animatic, in Flash, we establish the timing. We have the audio there to kind of cut up as we see fit. And then, then once the animatic's done, we just go right into animation, the same file. So it's a nice kind of one-stop shop for that. Now, when you take away one of those components, as it seems Animate might have done, or we're just not savvy to what they're fixing, that's a problem for us. One more in between real quick, and I'll show you the color change. It's kind of a cool trick. So you get an accurate kind of morph animation.
Me too. This is. Oh well, thank you. I'm glad someone.
They're here from is it Rebel Taxi.
Yeah,
he's been great. He chose Blood to talk about at MomoCon. He reached out asking if we'd be okay with him being part of his new video, and I'm just glad he saw Blood and sees some potential in it. That's really big deal for us. When we started Blood, you never know, like, it's always interesting, your paths in animation. You never know what's gonna resonate with an audience. Blood seems to be doing pretty well, and that I couldn't be happier about. But Blood started off as a idea Bob and I had for just an animated series, and we actually animated just this 45-second kind of trailer. Nothing to do with a video game. We pitched. We didn't even pitch it really. I guess.
I don't think we just didn't.
We just made it for. I don't know what we made it for.
We made it to pitch, but then we weren't as happy with.
Yeah, or
how it
something.
did, so we just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, so we just kind of sat there. It sat, and then Cody, our programmer, was looking through our. We wanted to make a game. We knew that much, and he was just looking through our old pitch packets, and he said something to the effect of, "Why not we tried making Blood a video game?" And that's from there we just sort of picked it up. So you see what I did here?
Now Cody's programming the boombox.
Oh, the Easter egg. Our little Easter egg. We got a little song in the game now that if you can find it in the game, you can listen to it. Explaining stuff as well. Oh, thank you. Just so you guys know, I'd happily pay money for this.
No, I feel weird about charging any fan who's just interested in learning about animation. I was a thesis advisor for one of my students too, and I kind of felt guilty that SVA was charging me to just kind of pass on something I like talking about. And it's enough for us if you guys buy the game when it's out. Like, we don't need to charge you guys just interested in learning how it's made. It's not that it's just not something I'm very comfortable with.
Oh yeah, my friend, was that the shooting game? I didn't see the new trailer. It looked like cool. Is that Devolver?
I haven't checked it out.
What it was.
Comes out tomorrow. My friend pay. I haven't. Oh, I might have.
Remember that really cool shooter?
It's a pretty cool shooter, right? Yeah.
Like a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah, and it has like a lot of ricochet kind of stuff or
I
something.
think that was the.
Mhm. So what I did here was I selected the color of his skin tone, and then I selected the color.
It reminds me of Kung Fury.
Yeah. No, well, that's our that's one of our favorite. We love the '80s kind of stuff. So anything that references the '80s, we're going to be a fan of. So I selected both colors. Then I kind of extended the keyframes as far along as the animation itself. And then I just hit shape tween, and if you do the square, it's just going to shape tween the colors. And since it's an ease out, or an ease in this case, I dragged this all the way down to -100. So now we're going to get an accurate kind of read on the skin changing tone to where you need it to be. So you can see it kind of just morphs into that, and
That goddamn Smash Mouth song stuck in my head.
Yeah, we have this thing at the studio where we play bad, catchy music, and we have a giant
Or
playlist.
song.
And believe me, Smash Mouth is
Way in
Smash
there.
Mouth
All
is
up in
the we got their greatest hits. My apologies to any Shrek fans. So let's start in betweening this now. So the head whips back here, so we're going to do another smear frame of the helmet. Oop, not that one. And the rules to it's not just crappy music. It has to be catchy. Like, it has to be. You have to sort of be mad that it's a catchy tune. So there's a lot of early '90s stuff in there. With just talking crap about these poor musicians.
Well, what was the one? Blue Eiffel 69 or whatever it is, or 65 was right up top there.
Oh, wait, I missed a bunch of snot. What
There's
is
about
this on Switch? Oh, yeah, we're shooting, coming out on Switch.
No,
Oh.
no, that's Cody's talking
Oh,
about.
Cody's talking about. I was like, Cody, the bravado on you. But
Yeah, how
Case,
bizarre. That was a good
can't
song.
help bizarre. Casey Snipes. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're getting something out of it. We get something out of this too, though. Is if I could recommend just setting a time every week or just periodically to force yourself to work on something. And this is forcing us. We have to provide 2 hours every week to show you guys an inside look at this game, and we just made that kind of a rule around here. Now, there's times when we shouldn't be doing this. We have way too much on our plate. We have clients that have a lot of obligations. We have families that we could be going and see, but we're forcing ourselves to do it. And I think we would never do it if we weren't forced. So anyone who's making a film, take that extra hour out of your week or an extra hour out of your day, get less sleep, do whatever you can, because you compound that over a year and you're going to have that much extra done on it. And trust me, you'll wish you started a year ago. Like, I wish we started Blood a long time ago. We're continuing to work on it, but it's something now, man, I wish we had more. And I think that's not a secret to animation. It's just one of those things. It's going to get quicker, and you're going to look back, and it's going to be finished all of a sudden. And there's a lot of good feelings in this world, but finishing a film and being proud of something you made is something
and
that...
then completely forgetting about it.
Yeah.
In a year when you're
and then you're
working on
worried. Yeah, that's the thing when you finish a film. Like, you get your likes on Twitter and stuff, and then like 3 hours later, you're like, okay, what's next? Okay, well, I could live with that. No, but take the time to work on a passion project or any hobby that lets you get lost in the work. It's more for yourself too. Yeah, I always say that to any of our students. Is always like, do it for yourself, not for anyone else, and you'll not have the expectations of it doing much other than the idea that you finished something. It's a good feeling.
Real techno music asked about, is there a demo? Is it going to be out? We have I guess it's probably like a 35-minute demo right now.
Yes.
That we're kind of polishing and showing off at the game shows.
Yeah. So technically, yes and no. Not one that we're sending off right now. We do have it ready for the game festivals and all that stuff. And eventually, I think the idea is if you go to bloodgame.com, we'll probably eventually release sort of like a beta or an alpha or whatever you call a real early version of it once we're confident enough that there's no bugs in it and it's kind of a solid gameplay.
I don't know if they wanted to do that either, though, so
That was more of a, all right, scratch that. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea is that eventually we'll have
the
something to
demo's
show.
not going to even really, probably not even be in the game. It's more of us just figuring out
Yeah.
the whole
this is very much a trial period where we're just trying to get the mechanics right because the story is still very much in flux too. And the story is going to be a big component of the game because it's not going to be a roguelike adventure where you can kind of just wander where you want. There's going to be sequential actions in it that need to you got to need to do stuff before other stuff takes place. So there's a lot of figuring it out to do. All right, so that's one more in between. And if we,
Oh, Cody was saying, okay. Cody was saying.
Okay.
Sign up.
Yeah, we'll release it to those people first, I figure. In fact, any new content will probably show up at bloodgame.com first because that's just for stuff that we don't post on social media. And it's not one of those spam traps where we're going to just keep annoying you guys. I don't know if we sent anything yet.
We only sent 2 emails.
I think we sent 2 emails, and it was like, one was thanks for signing up at MagFest.
And the game trailer.
Oh, the game trailer. Yeah. All right. We're getting somewhere here. Oh, we're already an hour and 15 minutes in. Jesus.
Got nothing done.
I got 6 drawings done, so. But, yeah, I hope to see some of you guys there at Too Many Games. I'm certainly excited. We don't get to meet up with the team a lot, seeing we're all scattered across this great coast.
It's fun to watch people play it too.
Yeah, no, I get something out of it. And I know what I really it's a pleasant surprise was seeing a bunch of kind of way younger kids than I expected to like something called Blood. And like the female demographic too seems like the majority of the people who were playing were like girls, what age? Like probably 7 up. And you know, when you go to these festivals, you kind of think of them as certain like people who are really into comic books. You have kind of a predetermined image of what they're going to be like. So just seeing like families coming and playing the game and enjoying it was like a really nice surprise.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I forgot. We did do it in the city that one time too.
Yeah, we did a. What was it? Was that called playcrafting?
That wasn't. That was something with the Xbox and the. What the heck was it? I think they did it. They do it like every season.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it was just nice. Just you know, I have all these preconceived notions of what the gaming community is like, and now that sort of the floodgates are open, and it's not. Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I didn't really, like, I was into Dungeons and Dragons and video games and a lot of kind of nerdy, quote-unquote, stuff that I'd never really talked about in high school because it just was so uncool that it wasn't something I brought up willingly. And now that it's sort of not like that anymore, it's just cool seeing families kind of traveling these things and the whole family's into video games. And Bob, you play with your daughter every Friday, and
until just the other night, she just found headphones and an old iPod, and that was the end of that.
And I play with my son every Saturday, and stuff, and it's just something. You know, my dad never played. I can't imagine my dad.
My
played.
dad tried to play Mario one time with me, and got so pissed off and just walked away.
I couldn't imagine my dad's generation picking up a controller and just like if I explain what I'm doing right now to my dad, it would just be like, oh, okay, good for you. Like, kind of like pat on the head. It's like, leave me alone. It's nice to see it sort of change. Ability to draw and interact with chat. Oh, thank you, Casey. What engine is, that's a Cody question.
Yeah, sir,
Unity, okay. What is the story of Blood? I want to make, oh, well, Blood fan art, if you post it and attach our Twitter name, we retweet it right away. So make sure you do that if you're going to make fan art. And any character is welcome, and any style is welcome. What's the story of Blood? Well, it's pretty much cities under siege with a vampiric virus, and the townspeople are turning into vampires left and right, and it's up to these three main characters to kind of stop the virus, and it's like a middle school age girl named Becky, her best friend Corey, and this old kind of shrouded man that we don't really talk too much about, but his name's Christoph, and he's sort of their mentor. And Christopherson.
I haven't even got that far yet, I guess.
No, I mean, I think he has a Sprite in the game now, what he was telling us, but he's still very much kind
Is he
of.
gonna be? Okay.
That's what he was mentioning. And anyway, you start off in a school when all the stuff hits the fan, and you're kind of off to the races. But it's very much an homage to kind of 80s horror, 80s in general. I feel like just kind of storytelling wise.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of.
I'm gonna do one more frame here to really.
I was trying to think of we should make a list of things that we'll probably be copying, like movies.
I want to do that, or better yet, I want the audience to kind of list the things they think is sort of a homage to what we're talking about. I love what Stranger Things sort of did, which is instead of hiding from the stuff they're kind of resonating with, they really push it, and it seems to, I mean, how many stories are there when you really boil it down? Didn't Shakespeare say 5 or something?
Yeah.
So, we're all kind of in the same boat of storytelling, and, you just take what you're influenced in and kind of move on. So, that's, we're really leaning into the idea that we're fans of a certain genre, and we're going to lean into it. We're fans of a certain decade, and we're going to lean into it. We like Zelda, and we're going to lean into it.
Blade. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Blade.
Yeah, there's a
2 is
Blade.
fun.
Oh, Blade 2
We
is a
love-
masterpiece.
We love Guillermo del Toro movies around
I
here.
love, he has just a precise way of getting to the point, and in this kind of new age way of telling a story where it's, you're really kind of roundabout way of telling it. I love how it's just, he's like, there's a vampire virus, this is the hunter, let's get out, let's move on with it. I love that kind of, like, the way he tells it. It's just very reductive.
All of even his artsy ones are.
No, it's just,
He just does cliche stuff, and people buy it as not cliche.
I'd rather
I don't know.
I'd rather know that he enjoyed making something, and
I think that comes
like
through in his-
you could tell he likes what he's making, and it's one of those intangible things that you really can't put your finger on, but you can tell he's not making a movie he doesn't want to make, and that's, I don't know if it's rare nowadays, but I know it comes through with his stuff. And Blade 2 is just hilarious. It's like hilarious for all the right reasons too. I love Ron Perlman's interaction. It's just so, that part in the bar when he thinks he's like, I could just shoot him now, but Wesley Snipes has the gun on him. I love that stuff.
He's only got 3 steps.
He's just like Daryl from The Walking Dead. He's like, I knew you were a double agent. Just like, how did you know that?
Like from the moment that you met him.
I knew you'd backstab me. It's just so funny. It's like Hard Target or something, but not quite that crappy. All right, so we have to open that part. Buffy too. I mean, we really have to pay homage to Buffy. In fact, the short we did, instead of field hockey, we went. Did we say cheerleading practice or something?
Yeah, but we were.
Yeah, and I was like, that's way too Buffy.
We just forgot about. Because I never watched Buffy the series.
I knew I thought she was a volleyball player when we were making it and stuff. But that aside, I mean, come on, it's pretty. That's as close as you can get. So let's see. I'm gonna have the legs sort of kind of buckle up here, start blowing out. It
choose red. Let's choose a color I can see. So the legs are gonna kind of bend against this, sort of get big here. And then I'll add a debris layer. I'll show you what I do with them. So that starts kind of snapping up. Alright, I think that'll work.
Oh wait, and my dad loved a double dribble. My mom loved it. And
Oh, Tansy Surf. Oh my gosh, you liked that game? That game was so hard. That game was tough. The surfing part, I didn't know how to do it. Like, I couldn't beat like level 1. The skating part, I somehow make it to the end.
I don't remember that one.
You would know it if you
I
looked
know
it up.
that, I don't think I played it all that much. I think I rented it one time from the video place, and Video Breakthrough.
There was that in Skate or Die.
That was the
Remember
one I
that
remember
game?
before.
Where they
And,
had
oh, by the way, I don't
Rodney
think I got
Dangerfield as
past.
the mascot. Did you ever?
No, I probably didn't make it far enough.
No, it was like in the beginning in the skate shop. It's like they pixelated Rodney Dangerfield, I think, or maybe not. I don't know. It certainly looked like him. Yeah, Cody, could you find the image of like the Skate or Die kind of? It's like when you're in the skate shop. I mean, it's Rodney Dangerfield with like a green mohawk. It looks so bad.
Oh yeah, this guy. Somebody did their
He got no respect. That game was hard too, though. Cody sent it to you.
Yeah.
Share it.
God, he really did look.
If that's not him.
This one up somewhere.
But like, even if it wasn't him, it's like, does that remind you of a cool skater? Not a chance.
it's the worst game I've ever seen.
Jared and I played that to no end.
Was that Ski or Die? That was a real thing, Ski or Die?
I don't remember Ski or Die.
Oh my god.
But I'll never
'cause
forget
that one's
Skate or
even more
Die.
dead on, they traced them.
Ski or Die. That doesn't have the same pizzazz. Alright, so we need some debris here. I'll do one more in between. What do we do? No, I'll do the debris first. Okay, so what we're going to do here, the pants sort of rip off and these tentacles are exposed. So I'm going to kind of follow the contours here.
Cody said he owns all of them.
No way. Cody? Cody, do you collect video games? So I'm sort of just following the contours, and when you do like an explosion like this, the effects layer, I always sort of do it straight ahead. There's not a lot of in-betweening unless you get to the real settles at the end. And you'll see why in a minute. You'll see that a lot with smoke, I find too. I mean, unless it's a really long shot and you want your smoke to cycle, I would recommend kind of doing it just sort of straight ahead. It's the most organic way. And if you look at smoke in real life, it doesn't really repeat itself. So I can understand your want to be efficient. And debris sort of, it just punctuates the action, and it's rarely the point of focus either. It just kind of indicates it. So When we worked at Super Jail, well, when I worked on Super Jail, we had a debris library, and it was something like if you really examined it, it didn't necessarily make too much sense. But it's just sort of like it puffs out and dissipates. That's sort of how we treat debris. So if there's no chance that these pants like shreds are going to land on the ground next to you, it just doesn't make sense for us. So we're just going to have it sort of dissipate in air to kind of accentuate the action.
We'll have to go. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for stopping by, Will, and the rest of it will be posted on YouTube if you guys want to join us there. And if you have any questions regarding the stream, just post them on YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer. And it could be any questions, and it doesn't have to be about blood. If it's just an animation question, feel free to reach out, and we'll answer it the best we can.
Animating, in-betweening is just animating boring frames.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to in-between as much as I did. I got so used to it when I worked at Augenblix, though, that this is how I worked at Augenblix. I didn't rough out the whole thing. I kind of roughed out when I needed to and cleaned up when I needed to. It's sort of a force of habit to just get it done. The Super Jail was one of my most fond memories working at Augenblix. That was a great studio. I learned so much there. So now it'll just shoot off. And this is where it just can kind of, you can just do stuff like this. Like it's really falling apart.
Oh, we didn't do Super Jail?
No, I didn't. I should
Yeah.
have explained that. I used to work at the studio called Augenblick Studios, which is located in Brooklyn. I think it's their 20th year as a studio. They're a great studio. You should totally check them out. I was one of their animators there. I worked there for 7 years before Bob and I started our studio. I reference Super Jail a lot because I learned so much there.
Why is it called in-betweening? Isn't just animating or easier to... I think it's called in-between because essentially you're supposed to do the extremes, and then someone goes in and actually in-betweens it. No, and Super Jail was then moved to Titmouse, I should explain too. We only did season 1 at Augenblick Studios. And that's the nature of animation. One studio will pick it up where the other one kind of leaves off and stuff. It's, other than the really giant studios, which Titmouse happens to be now, but, a lot of people change houses and stuff, so. Let's see here. Let's get this debris. And this is where working at 400 gets a little bit wonky because I'm literally everywhere on the screen. But this is one of the bigger characters. So the bosses tend to be bigger, so those are always a real kind of hazardous to animate. And I could always shrink it too, and then Cody would just have to shrink it by 50%. But right now I want to be as consistent as I can. So then these are just going to sort of...
Otherwise Cody will complain about it.
And then they won't get done. So these will just sort of shoot out now, and you can kind of just wing it like this, kind of following the contours, slowly dissipating. And, again, it's just a really accentuated. And we have to make sure they start disappearing here, so. Yeah, Cody was giving us a bit of a dressing down this morning about how it was, I guess it was passive aggressive. He's like, oh, you set up one right. Set to probably the 1,000 sprites.
How do you pick colors for a character to make them stand out?
Well, Becky has her own color palette because she's the character you're going to be playing, so we had to make her stand out. The rest I kind of picked, like the school characters that I showed earlier. I'm just going to hazard a guess here and say I probably had between 12 and 15 colors to pick from, and then I just made sure that was their palette. So it forced me to also like pick colors I'd never would for like a shirt and pants combo and stuff. But it also sort of made sense to me because you want to keep all the characters sort of uniform. And when you think about video games in its purest context from the old days, is they really had a limited color. They couldn't pick a lot of colors. That's why you get these really cool nostalgic looking colors. Like I doubt he wanted Mario to wear red and blue suspenders. You know, he probably wanted it gray or something. You know, more something indicative of a plumber, say. But he was forced to use it. So I kind of treated it in that regard. And I think every project I would like to have a limited color palette. It just sort of it takes the guesswork away too for me. Like if I had to sit here and worry about color theory and stuff, it would probably slow me down a little bit more than I want to. So I would suggest, and it's something as silly as just look up something that says like cool. Like I literally the other day I looked up cute pink color palette, and then there was all this stuff on like the Google search, like paint palettes that I just imported into Flash. I just use those, so I figured someone spent the time to do it. Why not use that? But I would say color is sort of not our strong suit, wouldn't you, Bob?
No,
We struggle with it, honestly. Especially when you see it on the background sometimes. It's not popping as much as it should. I think something like, if you really want to see it mastered, I would take a look at Samurai Jack. They use really interesting colors. And when you have a no holding line cartoon like Samurai Jack, and that means there's no kind of black line around the character unless there's two colors of the same variety that cross, you're kind of forced to just use that as the contrast point. So he'll frame out everything beautifully. He'll use black very sparingly, and just the color palettes are gorgeous. I would totally just take a frame of that and use that too. So that kind of works there. We'll probably do another in between to get him from there to there. From here to there. But let me, I'm going to finish the arms on this side. Okay, so now we have to kind of be mindful of what's happening here. So the arms are slowly going up. So I figure, let's see what we can do here that makes sense. So maybe by here, I'm gonna draw through. Yeah, that all makes sense. Kinda like that. This one will go up like that, and then we could start kind of having it come down. Now this will be blocked the majority of the way, but I still like to draw through just to make sure everything's jiving. Yeah, and then we can slowly start having it creep down. Okay. So I'm going to color that. Or clean it up, rather. And I started all this morning, so these sprites can go fairly quick, even with a more complex character like this. Now there's still a lot more I have to do. Like I need to do an attack for him. I need to make a vulnerable spot for you to be able to hit this guy. We have to kind of think what he would do on the screen to make sure he's not too hard of a villain or too easy of a villain. So there's a lot of that kind of thinking too. And what we'll do usually is we'll send Cody an example of what we think the gameplay should look like as animation. And then Andrew and Cody will spend hours, if not more, trying to replicate that. So it's kind of an interesting way to work. But it's also really cool because you're sort of in the director's seat as just from an animation standpoint, and then it gets done somehow programmatically. Maybe I'll go. So this will start coming down here. That will keep going up. This one could finally start going down. I think these ones. The shirt will keep going up just because the force of that. The tentacle will come down. See what that looks like. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. We'll favor the in-between though, so it stays longer in the air. Just like you throw up anything in the air, it's gonna, at its very pinnacle, it'll be the slowest. Let's see. All right, that goes down like that. Okay. Now I think we could just kind of wing it. Don't really need to rough anymore. Alright, let's see here. What's nice about this is even if I mess up this a little bit, it'll be behind the kind of starfish tentacle thing.
What type of tone for the plot are you guys going for?
It's it's a little bit. I mean, it's hard to make something that has this sort of theme going that's not horror. But what we like to do with it, it's probably like a darker comedy, and we made them cartoony for a purpose. So it takes a little bit of the sting out of just the horrific things that are happening to this town. But it's sort of what would you say, Bob? Like, what the theme of like?
I guess we almost kind of saw it as if Powerpuff Girls
Yeah.
or Dexter went a little darker.
Yeah, like if something happened like in Townsville like this, how would they treat it? No, they pepper stuff in with humor, but I guess at its core, it's probably kind of a thriller-ish kind of thing, where we definitely don't want to be gory, even though it's called blood. We don't want it to. I feel like that would be a little.
Gory, but
Yeah, there'll be there's splashes of blood every now and then, but it's not like it's going to be grotesque like a lot of these new vampire films or something like True Blood or something. But I want it to be fun too. It's not all just grim stuff happening. That's why we're kind of picking these cartoony colors.
did you study principles of animation anywhere?
Yeah, Bob and I went to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. We graduated. I graduated in 2002 or 3. I always forget which one. I was working full time at 3, but I'm not sure if I graduated a little before. Bob graduated 2 years after, right? Was it 2 or just
Yeah.
1? So we've roughly been in the industry between 18 and 16 years now. But we studied there, yeah, and we got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in animation. Okay, now we can get down to brass tacks here. So he lands, like, what I did was grab the middle part of the idle here, which is its lowest point. So now when he bounces back up, it'll feel like kind of a settle. Now what we could probably do is go a little, I'll ease into this, so this will be the extreme on this point. So when he lands, I still want a little more force, so I'm going to have the tentacles kind of fly out and kind of recoil to this point.
What's the creative? What's the creative process you guys start with to create these designs?
It's really kind of just to. We always say it's Smash Mouth, but not like not like that band we just made fun of. I'll start with just kind of a big skull. I'll make a funny face in it, and then we're kind of off to the races. I won't spend a lot of time rotating the characters, worrying too much about the design. It's more about the feeling of it, and you could see how much the designs change in something like video game characters. Becky, and there's a Becky. Oh, we did the dog food drop last week. That's what we did. Where's the talks we just did? Might be in promotional. So this is like an kind of a regular Becky, kind of neutral talk. Now watch the head change all of a sudden. Now she has no nose. Now her head's giant and her body's big. So it's all about kind of the mood we're setting. Her eyes are giant. So there's not a real rule of thumb in terms of like head size. Now sprites are a different thing. We have to keep them a certain size. But even in her attacks and her sprite animation, her arms will get huge all of a sudden. I'll show you some of that. This is the main sprite sheet here. So these are all, they're pretty standard, the same size, but you can see the rolls get a different size. Turn around. Like this is her death right here, and you can see that changes. The hits change size. The attacks, she's all over the place. Look, the size of her fist there compared to the one right under it. So we're not really a slave to like character design in that regard. And I don't know. I've always felt that way about cartoons. I like to think we can give enough credit to the audience that they can distinguish when it's supposed to be a certain size and a certain look, and when it's allowed to be cartoony. All right, so what I'm going to do here, well, let me color that first so we get that over with. Yeah, I like to keep very loose. I lost the line there, it doesn't matter. Like, what's fun to draw? I've been in too many projects where the project's all of a sudden not fun to draw because we're following way too many rules. And for our own, we can kind of throw that to the wayside. So what will happen here, I know this is the extreme, or this will be the first frame of the idle. So I'll erase this eventually within the sprite. So I'll take this usually. The tentacles are going to land first.
Something I found is colors often denote difficulty.
Yeah, I agree. No, and well, with these characters too, I'm drawing so many of them. I want to keep the characters as simple as I can. So just a head, like that's why she has a cowl. You know, she's just a head and a triangle.
The laugh at the end of the trailer is a little bit of a hidden gem.
What's at the end of the trailer?
The laugh, the maniacal laugh. He doesn't know he's going to be doing it.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think we're doing our best to get sued. No, the laugh. He's a friend of the studio who's helped us out with a lot of voice work. And when we get some cash, we might have to throw some his way. He's a hell of a voice actor, though. So let's see. We'll spread this out. I think that could go that way, I'm guessing.
And right now, I'm doing the music and.
Yes, Bob's the musician right now. Like that. Now, I'm going to have secondary on the head, so... And the body is pretty lifeless on top, so we're going to kind of go... You know, and then this will fall as secondary kind of stuff. Yeah, he doesn't know yet.
There's money at the screen.
Well, we appreciate that, but again, your patronage is like we if you buy the game and you enjoy the game, that's a reward enough for us. So we'll kind of flop down like that. So the tentacles will spread out, then kind of recoil, while the rest of the body sort of drops. So the next frame, the tentacles are going to suck back in, and the body will hit a little further, and then it'll recoil. And hopefully, if I do it smooth enough, it'll blend right into the sprite.
I'm going to beat you to death with love and support.
Well, I'm glad. I really do appreciate everyone, showing so much care about something that the majority of you guys didn't get to play yet. But I'm excited to show it all.
Yeah, once you play, you might be singing a different tune. Who knows?
But that we have to blame on Cody. I mean, that's all Cody.
Andrew did his best.
Andrew tried, but Cody won. So let's see here. I might have to rough this out a little more. I'm going to rough this out a little more to save some face. Beat you to death with love and support. It's a good line. Actually, I can have this tentacle. I'm going to have this tentacle kind of do secondary here too. Alright, now let me just... Now this is where the stuff gets a little difficult to do when it's all these things coordinated, because if I showed you the idle, like I broke up the layers pretty significantly because I wanted to repeat the tentacles and stuff because I was doing a walk cycle with them essentially.
What do you use to draw frame by frame?
This is an old program and it's going to age us, but it's called Flash MX, and it's the predecessor to Adobe Animate. And by predecessor, I mean like real, like 15 to 20 years ago. People like to ask why we do that. I find that the brushwork is a little bit more intuitive to the way I draw, anyway. And it's just sort of a reduced program compared to Adobe Animate, so it doesn't get bogged down in saving, it doesn't crash as much. And since all we're doing really is essentially drawing frame by frame and doing a little flash cheats here and there, it just makes sense to kind of use the reduced version of that program, for me anyway. Alright, so let's clean up this one. But I mentioned earlier, I would like to try Toon Boom at one. I have this giant fantasy that I'm gonna do all this stuff one day, and it's just not. It's not showing up. It's just not.
Never learn Toon Boom.
Well, I want to know. You don't think so?
No, not at all.
But I do have these like ideas. It's like, it would be awesome to just sit down one weekend and watch Lord of the Rings again, or stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that until the kids are off at college. I always pretend like this. I have this infinite amount of time, and I just feel like, like when you really think about it, it's like halfway of 2019 is halfway gone, and how, like, does it feel like it's halfway gone? Not at all. What's Cody making fun of me for?
Nothing.
Oh. I thought it was the Lord of the Rings thing.
No, we got. Did we get some fan art on Instagram? Is that what we got?
Oh, on Instagram?
Yeah.
Can we repost it?
Instagram. So
Well, yeah, it's been working like. Every time we post something on Instagram the last week, it's been down.
Toon Boom, just the interface of Toon Boom makes me nervous. Yeah, no.
I don't know, yeah. But then I see, like, our friend James Shagru.
Doing fantastic.
He does stuff that looks beautiful. It looks like pencil. He's cleaning up in it. He's doing it so. He's always been quick, but he's doing it so quick. And it just so. And I think Joey Caps was telling me that the Looney Tunes stuff that's being done is Toon Boom too. And I think that was executed pretty nicely the way I saw it. Just looking at the yeah. It's I remember when Toon Boom was first around, they came into the studio Augenblick, and this poor person was just like Aaron, the head of the studio. Like the poor person didn't know how to make like onion skin or something, and he was a representative for Toon Boom, and she was just like, it was just everyone just barraging her with a bunch of questions that she didn't know, and it was so clear she wasn't selling him on this. All right, so then it's gonna go this way. It's gonna. Oh man, we're almost. We started a little late, so I'm gonna keep this going a little longer than we usually do. Alright, so that's gonna shoot down like that. I'm gonna have to probably extend this. And then the tentacles are gonna start kind of recoiling back at this point. That poor girl. I was just thinking about that the other day. Alright.
Oh, it's just a sign that it's too complicated, right?
Well, it was just Augenblick Studios was and still is a very just hand drawn kind of thing. There was not a lot of flash magic what we were doing. We were puppeting and stuff, but nothing like I know like the new Flash is all about like trying to use the bone tool to make puppeting easier, but we weren't really about that. And I think the person from Toon Boom was trying to sort of indicate that they're doing all that stuff. But when we're just like, so how do you draw from this drawing to that? And she was kind of trying to figure out how to onion skin, and she nervously like called someone, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't in her favor. So I'm gonna have to spread that out a little bit. Yeah, that feels like better timing. So I'm gonna clean up this drawing. I felt so bad for her. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. She wasn't making that sale. Plus, it was and still is pretty expensive. Also, you have a rhythm in a studio that he's established for a long time. To like kind of interrupt that, trying to learn something new, would cost him and the studio a lot of cash, I think. Which, like when you go into these new programs, you have to kind of take that into account. It's like, what is the sweat equity I'm going to be putting into this to learn? And I'm going to have the sleeves go the other direction for now. But yeah, I have to kind of keep that in mind. So yeah, I don't know if I will ever learn Toon Boom, just because if I'm gonna have some free time, I'm gonna have to be drawing blood for a long time now. So I'm not starting over. In other words, let's see here. Where did I put that? So that's there. So this is gonna go under. It gets a little confusing here now. Let's see. So, well, it's as good a time as any to start promoting what we're going to be working on and what we're doing in the weeks to come. Any of you guys in the Philly area want to stop by? What booth are we at, Cody or Bob? Can we share any of that information?
No, I just don't know what it is.
I know it's in 2 days. I really hope to see some of you guys stopping by the booth, chatting it up with the crew, get to play the game, bringing my easel and a bunch of regular old school paper. I'll be doing drawings for people who want a caricature of blood, and there'll be a lot of video game talk and all that good stuff. So I hope to see some of you there. What else? We're going to be continuing drawing blood for as long as it takes. So every Friday, we're going to keep doing Fridays. And due to people asking these questions, Bob and I are thinking about maybe taking a Thursday or Wednesday and showing you how we do other projects, not just blood. We're kind of playing with a little bit of live action backgrounds with characters. What will happen is I'll do some character animation, and Bob will export it and get it into After Effects, and we could show you how we would take something from the flash screen and make a nice post like on Instagram, that a way more polished kind of thing. I'm thinking we could do a 2-day one like that, where Thursday I do it, then Friday you clean it up.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a nice treat coming up. What else? Bloodgame.com for all. Oh, Cody's got our booth up there. Cool. Bloodgame.com for anything that's going to be new before it hits our Facebook stuff. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. So let's watch this down one more time. See what we did this week.
This awesome music.
This is our closing song outside. I'm going to color this, and then I'll show you one quick thing on how this will all line up together. If you're going to do that, you just have to have a better sound system. So my God.
They spent it on the spoiler.
Alright, let's see here. That's like that. Now I'm going to show you like how I would put together this animation as one kind of cohesive unit. Try this. So this isn't fully in between, but you guys will get a sense of what I'm... That'll be the last frame. So, okay, so when we send this off to Cody, I'll have a test animation here. So what I'll do is copy this main guy. This is always the start of it. Paste them. I'll make this a symbol. I'll call it, this guy's called football player vamp. Football player vamp, and I'll call it something like example. Okay, so I got him in the symbol. Now, all the animation I did prior to this is embedded in this symbol. So I can extend this as long as I want. Alright, so say at the 2-second mark, I want him to change into his the animation I just did. So I'm going to hit the swap symbol. I'm going to look for the symbol I called it. Just called transform. I'm going to make sure that's on frame 1. That's very important because it'll just pop to the next one. So now the animation should line up because I kind of timed everything. Okay, so that pops up. He lands. He's kind of in... Now this is the first frame of the idle symbol. So now I just have to find the idle one as I swap. Modify transform. I don't know why it's like that. Oh no, this is the... Sorry, this isn't the idle. Swap. I just had to find the idle. Oh, that was because I... Okay, right there. That's frame 13. I'm just going to do that because that's the low point of it, so it goes like that. So this will sort of be an animation. Now I say, I'm still going to have to in between this next part, so there'll be another sprite where I just take these two extremes and just in between like 7 frames. And I'll do the walk. So that's going to pop a little bit. Yeah, so see it does pop pretty bad. So let's say I start here. And it still pops bad, so we'll just forget about where it does it. So now we got all this animation in here. Take that. Make like a fake little level for Cody. Or Andrew. Get Becky in here. So Becky walks up, sees this guy, she gets surprised. Then he could start walking towards her. So this is something I would hand off to Cody. And, you know, I did this in, what, I started today around 9, and I did some of this idle animation yesterday, but I finished it today. And it's not even the end of my day yet, and we got, what is this, around 10 seconds of animation. So, you know, it's not impossible for 2 people or 4 or whatever the size to get enough animation done where you can eventually build on something here. So I always recommend it to people to really push yourself and try to, you know, try making a video game, try making a film, you know, you'll never know until you try. And then you'll be surprised how much you get done in a month.
This is the first stream I've tuned in, and I'm already...
Oh, well, yeah, next Friday. We'll be there. And we're not sure what episode it is because we missed one.
It'll be live.
It'll be live. Live with all the... We'll be plugging in microphones and removing them. There'll be echoes. People outside will be screaming. You know, just a typical one. So, yes, so until next week, I hope to see some of you guys in 2 days. And for the rest of you, in, 9 days? We'll be back. All right, so that ends our stream. Have a great weekend and the rest of the week, guys. And keep those questions coming. We love hearing from you guys.
Brewster. I get it. Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll talk to everyone soon. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in.
Later, guys.